Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for tuning in to our very first episode of the frequently asked questions, or rather, questions that you have posed to us online or through through email, something like that. And Chris and I are going to answer all those now. First, I would like to give a nod to Ike over at Flipside Music, who pretty much gave me the idea to do this, and to Ian and Carl at InRange, who have been doing this for a long time, and I thought that's neat, but now we're going to do it ourselves. So I have a list of questions here. We give the first shot to Patreon members. So, and that's another thing, I should probably thank all the Patreon members, because we've gotten a lot of new Patreon supporters. And so thanks to everyone who's supporting us on Patreon. If you're a Patreon member, we're going to give your questions first. We're going to make sure we get to all those questions first. We've got some other questions that came in through YouTube or Facebook, stuff like that. I don't want this video to be super long, and so that's why I'm chatting all this time right now. Yeah. But just giving you an idea of what's actually going on, because this is the first one. So,
and these are serious questions, and we're going to try and give serious answers.
Yeah, this is we're not
first thing in the morning.
Right now.
Yeah. It's so, early in the morning, and
now let me. A lot of these are ambush questions for you, and some of them are more serious than others. But I included some of them for like. There's some of them that I'm like, well, that's a tacky question, but I included it for a reason. So yeah. Okay. So anyway, so Patreon members will always get top billing on these FAQ. It's not really FAQ; it's just AQ. So all on these question and answer videos. So let's get right to it. Let's jump right in with our Patreon questions. The first question comes from Dave Harbor. How long until we see a Texas Toast acrylic guitar body? Now you might not know this, but many, many years ago, when Bruce Clay moved out of his shop, he had an acrylic blank that was like 1.25 inches thick, and it was rough cut to something. And he's like, here, you can just have this. So this was probably 8-10 years ago. And so I carried this acrylic body around for a while, and I even took it into Kevin's shop, and we talked about, doing something with it. And then it just sort of vanished. So, yeah. I love my Dan Armstrong and other acrylic stuff like that. I think it's neat. But I don't see us doing an acrylic body anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't either. I think they're cool, but I can't imagine trying to work it with the tools that we have.
Yeah, I think it would be all brain surgery, Kevin.
Yeah, and it would. I don't even really like making pick guards sometimes because of the hot plastic mess.
Yeah, so, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer to that question is, how long? As soon as someone pays us to do it. I mean, I got because I don't really want to do it. I kind of figure that Dan Armstrong has the market cornered on that. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, Dan Armstrong is a big influence for me. Chris knows painfully well how much of an influence Dan Armstrong is. He sometimes asks me, "Why are we doing this?" And my answer is, "Because that's what Dan Armstrong did." Right?
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, I think as far as lucite, acrylic bodies, Dave, if you're willing to throw down money, I'll go there.
Maybe we just do an acrylic top. That might actually be fun.
Or an acrylic control cavity cover.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this one is from Ralone at netzero.net. This is 2 questions. Number 1, can you glue in a bolt-on neck? What do you need to do? Don't know if you have done this or not. Thanks, from Robert. This is another one of those Bruce Clay ones.
That's who I thought of first thing. And
So can you glue in a bolt-on neck? Yes, you can. What do you need to do? Well, I think that what you need to do first is you need to get all the finish off well, first of all, you need to decide why you're doing it. Because you're eliminating a handful of the advantages of having a bolt-on neck, which to me, they are, and in this order. If you have a sloppy neck pocket, it doesn't matter. If you have something happen to the neck, you can pull it off and buy a new neck and put it on there. And 3, if you need to adjust the angle of the neck, you can do that easily.
Yeah.
So if you want to eliminate all those things, then yes, you can. What do you need to do? I think what you need to do is get rid of the finish that's on the neck and any finish that's in the neck pocket, so that you're gluing wood to wood, not wood to finish. And then I think what you also should probably consider doing is shimming the neck pocket so that you don't have a lot of wiggle in there, so that you have a tighter neck pocket. And that's going to get to another question that's a little bit further on down the line here. But yeah, have I ever done this? I don't know if I have, but I have worked for a guy who did this a lot. And that was Bruce Clay at Rare Bird Guitars, and he had this thing called the bolt-on conversion. He didn't like bolt-on necks, and so at the time when I worked there, I couldn't like bolt-on necks either. So
You've only recently come around to liking bolt-on
necks.
necks.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of advantages to bolt-on necks. Oh, you know what? Another good advantage to a bolt-on that I didn't touch on is if you've got dissimilar finishes.
Yeah.
So if you've got like an oil finish neck and you want to have a hard finish body,
yeah,
the bolt-on makes lots of sense.
Mm-hmm. And we've been playing around with some stuff like that too. Yeah, where we don't necessarily want to have the neck, the same.
Yeah, and I think that I don't think that a well executed bolt-on is any less of a neck joint than a well executed glue joint, or the same executed glue joint. So if you have a good neck joint and you glue it in or screw it in, I think it's 6 to 1, half dozen of the other. Now, if you have a sucky neck pocket, and you try to glue it in, then you're going to end up with a lousy neck pocket, or a lousy neck joint. And there's so you got to do it right no matter what you do. I don't think there's anything wrong with the fender necks or neck pockets. I don't think they need to be as tight as I used to think they needed to be. What's your thoughts on this whole thing? Should you do it, or how about this? Can you do it, and what do you need to do?
Can you do it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you've covered how to do it. I think the big question is, why do you want to do it? Other than, I mean, it's not. I can't imagine that gluing in a neck is going to make any discernible difference from it having been previously bolted in.
Let's say, oh, hey, something else.
If the pocket's good, and if
Yeah.
and if the pocket's not good, then you don't want to glue it in anyway.
Well, that's true too.
So.
One other thing that I would suggest, if you do decide to go down this path, is bore out the holes that are in the neck pocket anyway, and that are in the neck anyway, and actually dowel them in too. Why not?
That
really
would
make
actually,
it. But I think that if someone just said, so I guess the other thing is we would be remiss if we didn't say that if you do this on a guitar that has any collector value at all, you will ruin any chances of collector value. You probably piss some people off. How do I know? Because Bruce Clay did. But if you just have a guitar that you want to transform from a bolt-on neck to a set neck because you think it's cool, rock on. Yeah, I mean, if you like it, then go for it.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's any advantage. I don't know there's any first cool advantages to doing that. There's no feature that makes it better. But if you just like it, second kind of cool, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Knowing with the caveat that you will destroy any collector value of that instrument should it have it. If you're doing it to a Squire, go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and his second question: can you add new fret markers to a neck that is on a guitar and has frets installed?
Like on the face?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
sure that's what he means. Absolutely, you can. In fact, depending on what kind of material you want to use, it can be really easy.
Yeah.
You've done a lot with that side dot material.
Yeah, the little, what is it, 1/8 inch?
Well, there's
Or 16th?
3/32. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super easy to use.
Yeah, you drill the hole, you put it in, you run a little acetone around it, because acetone
Yeah, it'll melt the plastic.
melts the plastic into it, and then you can actually just use a razor blade to scrape it flush.
Yeah.
And
If you could find
it's
that
super
material
fast and
in like
easy.
1/4 inch size,
Yeah, I've
man,
actually
that'd be
looked.
really
Yeah.
cool. Oh, have you?
Yeah, you can find it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think they make glow in the dot glow in the dark rod.
That'd be cool too. So that stuff is available from Stuart McDonald. They call it side dot material. It's like a 6-inch piece of plastic.
Yeah.
Super easy to work with, and it would work great for this application. And if you can find it, like Chris was saying, he found it in 1/4 inch.
Yeah, I think on Amazon I found it for other hobby stuff.
Yeah, because it's just basically like a soft plastic. It's not going to matter how hard the plastic is. Because it's going on the face of the guitar.
Yeah,
and when you fret, it won't touch.
So. And I've seen where people have done like fake clay dots, and that works okay too. You have to. It's harder to scrape it, but.
Would you like mix up putty and put it in the hole or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Didn't Maui have his hallmark customized like that, or not like that, but with face dots?
They use the file. Yeah, to scrape it down. You could also put them in with. I've seen people use a product called water putty, which is kind of a
that like plumber stuff.
Yeah.
Rock putty or whatever.
Yeah, rock hard. Yeah. And you mix it up. It comes in a powder. You mix it up, and then you can smear it in, and then you could scrape that back, and that would work really, really easily as well.
Yeah.
You just don't want anything too hard. We also added.
That's right. We added
little
like
medallions to a neck one time.
I forgot about. How could I forget about that?
Yeah. And we didn't do anything over the top, and we were worried that you might be able to feel them afterwards because they weren't completely perfect.
Well, because the fretboard had a radius, but the dots didn't. So it was,
and you can't feel them. You can't. Yeah, it worked out fine. So, and I still want to put a nickel in a fretboard at some point.
Okay.
With epoxy over the top.
A buffalo nickel.
Just like a 1970 for the year I was born.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right, here's another question from Adrian Moreno. This is a guy who has been sending me videos of some of the finish work that he's done. He's doing a really good job. And I'm actually going to make him a bass body and neck that he's going to finish.
Oh, cool.
So that little build-up was because his statement question is, it'd be cool if you made videos of the whole process. Yeah, it would be cool. You know, the videos that we make here, my tiny hamster brain can only... The problem with doing a video of everyone's project is that it would slow the whole thing way, way down.
Yeah.
Right now, a project like that is probably about 3 or 4 months from when I get the original payment to when it's actually ready to ship, and that's with no finish. You start to add finish, and suddenly you're 5-6 months out.
Yeah.
For what we're doing here and what we have scheduled right now. So to make videos of all that stuff would mean I'd, 1, have to remember, 2, I'd have to do it, and 3, it would just take a lot longer. So yeah, I can try to remember to do that, and I might be able to do a little bit of that. I had that Fernandez replica that I'm doing for Adam was one of those things where he's like, "Hey, when's the next video come out?" And I'm like, "Oh man, I kind of." Because my little tiny brain already said, let's go forward, and I forgot to set up the camera or something.
We've tried to do that, and we do really well for the first half of the project, and then all of a sudden the guitar's done and gone.
Yeah, and then whoops. So if you want to have us build a project and you want to have us video the whole thing, I don't think that's like an extra charge, but it's just going to take a lot longer to do.
Yeah.
Because it'll have to be, okay, stop everything. That's another thing is when you have to stop everything else in the shop because, I'm videoing this process and I want to talk a little bit about it. Even if I don't talk about it, which, by the way, that video where I didn't say anything was wildly unpopular.
I noticed that,
Yeah.
You talk too much.
Yeah, and then I do one where I don't say anything and no one watches it.
That was boring.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving forward to questions from Facebook.
Okay.
This is a question from Henry Henry, I'm mispronouncing your name. Henry Brosow?
That's what I'd go with.
Brosow?
Sure.
Henry, I'm apologizing in advance. Question from Matt. How do you know which depth to stop at with the pin router? I think he means with the beloved pin router.
Yeah.
I always wonder that in the videos. Now, the problem with having a Facebook question is that other people can help answer the question. And Alan Montgomery helped answer the question by saying his danger glasses have a heads-up display like the Terminator. I assure you that my danger glasses are vital to the process, but I do not have any sort of holographic heads-up display. That would be so cool. If Bausch and Lomb would get on that would make my life a lot easier. You know, to answer the original question, we just sort of eyeball it. You know, we've gotten really good at telling. A lot of the stuff you have to get the calipers out or a ruler. Like neck pocket is all the stuff we do for the Challenger necks has to be 1 inch deep. All the stuff we do for the daily drivers has to be 5/8. But and then I guess control cavities you need to worry a little bit about. You don't want to go through. You want to have enough material for the potentiometers and switches and stuff to actually be to work with. But other than that, you just sort of wing it.
Yeah, kind of. And a lot of it is just having used the tool for so long now that you kind of know how much it goes down each time. And
one day we should actually measure each one of those steps and see how much it is. Like from 1 to 2 is and they might all be the same. They're adjustable.
They're almost all the same.
Okay. Yeah. And they're all adjustable. We could set one to be a 1/2 inch if we wanted.
Yeah, that doesn't sound dangerous at all.
But the more you use it, the more used to it you get, and you kind of wing it. And it's funny, like there's like 1 inch, 5/8, 1/2 inch are all pretty easily seen the more you use the tool. You're like, that's pretty close. And especially on something that doesn't really matter, like a pickup cavity.
Yeah.
And it's funny how close you can get. So, okay, this next one is a question from Alan Montgomery. Question for Chris. Now I want to read this and I want to give you some background on it before you answer.
Okay.
Question for Chris. Does not yet having come up with your own catchphrase make you feel like less of a man? Now,
I think I saw his comment.
Yeah.
Where Monkey has one and you have one.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, Monkey does have one.
Yeah.
So the reason that I included this tacky question was because I want having the build it yourself if you're so smart. I've been using that for years, way before I had a YouTube video thing. And I actually stole that. I stole that from a website called CycleX that makes cafe racer parts.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh, that's neat. It's not their catchphrase. It's just something that they say on a handful of things on their website.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to use that.
Okay.
But I would say don't rush into getting a catchphrase because what happens is pretty soon everybody associates that catchphrase with you. And so like build it yourself if you're so smart doesn't exactly work when I'm trying to sell guitars.
Yeah.
So anyway, now that I've said that,
so does it make me feel like less of a man? No. And I've played around with a lot of catchphrases.
Yeah.
Your mom builds it herself. Seemed like a good one for a while, but ultimately, I figure it'll happen organically, and eventually.
I would not rush into that.
I have a lot of things that I say all the time. They're just not necessarily, catchphrase.
Because what could happen is we'll be at the NAMM show and people start shouting that shit out at you.
Hey, your mom makes it herself.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. So no, I'm okay with it for now. It's like when we were in the band together and everybody had a nickname, and I didn't have a nickname, so everybody was trying to come up with nicknames for me, and they were awful.
Yeah.
And
I still have you in my phone as one of those awful nicknames.
Yeah. So.
and my nickname wasn't even a nickname because nobody ever called me that. It was just something that I think Maui and Mad Dog, who by the way I think came up with their own nicknames.
Yeah.
Which I don't think you can do.
That was the other thing. Yeah.
So, all right. Okay, moving right along. Stephen Daniel.
I do kind of feel like less of a man without a catchphrase.
Well, I wish that you would. Stephen Daniel.
Okay, serious.
Y'all need to find a local hipster documentary buff at your local Starbucks and have them film an extremely dramatic, in-depth documentary about your guitar building shenanigans. Not really a question, but I wanted to include it. We do have a sizzle reel. that was made not by a local hipster, but by a local artist who is one of my favorite people in the whole world, and that's Leslie. Did that for us. And she did a great job. In fact, I would love to have her come back and do another one because it was such fun to do.
Yeah.
And we've updated a lot of the processes now.
Yeah, that was the funny thing is when between the time that we filmed it and the time that she showed it,
watching it.
Yeah, even though it was like 30 days or whatever, we changed a whole bunch.
We changed a bunch of stuff
that we'd done. It was like, oh yeah, I remember doing them like that.
Yeah.
But it was super fun to watch, and man, it like fired me up.
Yeah, it's a cool, and it's still on YouTube. So if you have not seen the Texas Toast Sizzle Reel, I think if you just type in the search thing, Texas Toast Sizzle Reel, you'll find it.
Or maybe make a link down below.
That's
too much work.
One of the nice things about these videos is there's going to be very little editing. If any.
Yeah.
So it'll just be, put the song in there at the front, put the song in there at the back, boom, send. The other thing that I wanted to talk about with guitar building shenanigans and a documentary was last year around this time we were talking with, I can't remember the lady's name, but it was Optimum Productions, and we were not offered a TV show, but there was some back and forth about having a show where, and I talked to her. She sent me an email, and I'm like, "Are you wanting to do a TV show about a bunch of knuckleheads doing a bunch of knucklehead stuff and making guitars?" And she said, "Yeah." So we Skyped with her a couple times, and as it turned out, I don't think there was enough interest at the time in doing that. Part of that, I think, was our very small fan base on social media, like Facebook and YouTube. And it's been a project of mine to bump up those numbers. And I would like to revisit that with Optimum Productions or somebody else later on. Once we get 10,000 subscribers on YouTube or something like that. If that ever happens, then maybe we can go back and revisit that. Because what I think probably happens is either no one wants to watch those shows anymore, where it's a bunch of knuckleheads doing a bunch of knucklehead shit. Although I still see them. But I think the other one was, at the time, I think we had 600 subscribers on YouTube. So, well, I think you have to have a little more than that. Do you remember that and all that stuff?
Yeah. And
that was a fun thing.
She said ultimately that she didn't think there was enough enough of a market for that.
Yeah, which
she didn't. Yeah,
which I think that really that could be it too. But
guitars aren't motorcycles, something like that.
Maybe, but what about moonshine? Or there's lots of shows where a bunch of knuckleheads do a bunch of knuckleheads. It has less to do with the motorcycle or the moonshine or the guitar than this bozo doing something. And we've got bozos in spades. Yeah. So. Having said that, I would also be interested in doing something like that's purely instructional and not sensational.
Yeah.
Like on a PBS style format, where hey, we're going to make guitars.
Like Bob Ross.
Like Bob Ross. I was going to say Norm Abram, but sure, like Bob Ross. You gotta take away my thunder like that. Well.
That's what I did it.
Hey, I would get a fro. If it came to it, I'd sell out so fast it'd make your head spin.
Yeah, and we've talked about making some episodes on our own.
Yeah, and I think that's still a great idea.
Yeah, but we'd have to have somebody like do it. We couldn't film it and do. We'd have to have.
And maybe we could get Leslie to come out and do that again, and do like a little more show rather than a sizzle reel for the show.
Yeah.
So anyone who's out there who's doing television production, we have a sizzle reel. You can watch that. If you don't know what a sizzle reel is, Google that shit. There's lots of ways to make money making videos. And I'm also not opposed to the idea of, I always say that I'm not a shill for Stu Mac, and people think I am, and they do. I would shill for Stu Mac in a heartbeat, or Coors Light if you're watching. I would chill for you too.
Yeah, and their sales are down, and we're keeping our end up.
I know, we're doing everything we can do.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Next question from Nick Cook. I have a question about pickups because I've been looking into that a lot recently. Is there a huge difference, in your opinion, in expensive pickups versus average priced or cheap? Also, have you ever looked at the possibility of making your own? I'll let you go with that one first.
So what was the first part? Is there a big difference?
Yeah, in your opinion, what's the difference between?
Well, I think you have different categories of pickups. I think you have the like super cheap, $14 humbucker sets on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big difference between those and even slightly better. I think the materials on those are just really cheap. Ceramic magnets. Not that there's anything wrong with ceramic magnets.
The DiMarzio Super Distortion, my favorite pickup.
Yeah. But just really cheap materials. Now, and this is. It's a lot of people will probably disagree with me. I'm of the opinion that wire's wire, magnets are magnets, and if you use the same magnets and you use the same wire, you're going to pretty much end up with the same pickup. I don't think there's magic that goes into making a pickup.
The trick is let's use Seymour Duncan because he's so recognizable. The Seymour Duncan USA line versus the craptastic pickup from Indonesia or whatever. If all the things were, if you had the same machines winding the same wire around the same magnets, there's no magic in the guy who presses the button and the thing starts to spin.
Yeah.
Do you think that Mexican ladies in the 50s were somehow more inherently better at winding wire than Chinese ladies are today? I don't know. But I think the problem is that when you say all things being equal, but they're not. Because that's what happens is you don't use, the same quality components on a lot of those overseas super cheap pickups.
Well, on the super cheap stuff you don't, but there are overseas pickups that use the same magnets and the same wire.
Yeah.
So is there a huge difference? I don't think there's a huge difference. One of the neat things about the boutique guys is you can actually get them to make you a pickup exactly the way you want it.
That is a really neat thing, and so will Seymour Duncan.
Yeah,
they have a custom shop just like Fender does, and they'll wind you.
I think of them as a boutique maker.
I do.
And so that's really neat.
You can call Lindy Fralin and spend a couple $100, or you can call Jerry Sentel and spend $100 and get the same level of attention to detail and custom winding. So a lot of that is everyone's heard of Lindy Fralin. Not as many people have heard of our friend Jerry at Sentel. But I love Jerry's stuff.
Yeah, Jerry makes some neat stuff. I think you do pay a premium with some of those boutique guys because you're paying for the name.
I would say all of them,
which is fine.
There's varying degree. That's a sliding scale of
the big
premiums.
guys. But so like last year, I bought some really good American-made Strat pickups, Fender Strat pickups. I think they were called 59s, and put them in a guitar, and they sounded great. And I grabbed my Squier Classic Vibe with the good Asian-made pickups, and they sounded the same.
Well, yeah, because I'm sure they're wound at exactly the same specs.
Yeah,
right?
they were basically the same.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Pickups are tough. If you want something a little outside the box of the normal stuff you can buy, then the boutique guys are the way to go, I think. But I think there are a lot of decent low cost options too.
Absolutely. Now, having said that, we have to use something that has a name.
Yeah.
Because no one knows who we are. You know what I mean? So, like in the Daily Driver, it comes with a Seymour Duncan pickup. And the reason, and a USA-made Seymour Duncan pickup. And the reason that is if we had two guitars that looked identical, one said Seymour Duncan on the pickup, and one said Craptastic Import. People they're not even going to pick up the one that says Craptastic Import.
Yeah.
Or if you said, I've got this, this Fender Telecaster, which is now we're not competing with Fender because everybody wants a Fender, you know what I mean? But let's say you had a Fender Telecaster and our daily driver, and they're right next to each other. And the Fender is $500 more. And ours has, loaded with premium stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, it's not a Fender, but it sure looks like it, plays every bit as good, if not better, and it's got a bunch of boutique or at least premium components.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong. And that was kind of the whole point of the daily driver.
Yeah, yeah.
If we loaded the daily driver up with cheap import stuff, it just doesn't have the same allure, even at the lower price. Mm-hmm. I don't.
Yeah.
Now, maybe if someone ever finds out that we build guitars that are good, then then maybe we can throw our weight around a little bit. But
yeah.
I'd still just as soon use the premium components.
Yeah, well, it removes a lot of doubt.
Exactly.
Well, is it? Yeah, I think it sounds okay. Well, if it's got the good stuff in it, it sounds okay.
Remember that time when we gave a guitar to Jeff LaQuatra, and he's playing it, and he's like, "This sounds great. I love it. What are these pickups?" And we're like, "Those are our Pure Juice pickups, which are house brand pickups that we get wound for us." We told him they were the Pure Juice pickups. Now remember, he said, "This sounds great. What kind of pickups are
Well,
these?"
he said, "This sounds great. Are these DiMarzios?"
That's right.
Duncans?
And then when he found out they weren't that, then it was, "Yeah, I guess it sounds pretty good. I mean, I guess you could change these pickups out later." I'm like, well, "Wait a minute. In like 30 seconds, you went from this sounds great to you could change them out later because they don't, because they're not." So
we created some doubt.
Yeah.
Whereas if we said, and we should have just said, "Yeah,
what do
you tell me."
they are?
Yeah.
As far as winding my own pickup, I have wound 4 coils in my lifetime, and that was in 1989 at Roberto Venn. And I've never wound a pickup since then. And it seems to me like, why bother? Because there's guys like Seymour Duncan and Larry DiMarzio and Jerry Centel and Lindy Fralin, who have forgotten more about winding pickups in the last 10 minutes than I'll ever know. And it's something that doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah.
You said it might be like sanding.
Yeah, I think so. I think once you get good at it, then it's just sitting there doing it and driving yourself crazy.
Monkey bought a pickup winder.
He did, and I don't know how that's going.
And that was a while ago. I haven't
broken
seen
a lot
any
of wire
pickups.
is what he told me.
So maybe Monkey will have his own pickup company one day.
I'm hoping that he gets some wound, and then we can pretend that we think they sound good or something. I don't know.
I'm sure they'll sound great because again, there's no magic to it. Once you figure out how to do it, it's like, well, okay, you can roll your own anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're so smart.
Should we talk about our Abigail Ibarra hypothesis?
No, let's save that for later. If you want to ask us about our Abigail Ibarra hypothesis, you can leave questions. Below. Let's move along because I think this is going to be a long video.
Yeah, I think so too.
Andy. How do you determine pickup placement in your designs? Do you try to find nodes and place accordingly, or do you put the neck pickup real close to the neck and the bridge pickup real close to the bridge? No. I think what I do when it comes to pickup placement is I want it to either be in exactly the same place as it is on the guitar that we're trying to match. Mm-hmm. I want it to look right in relation to the neck and the bridge. I obviously don't want it so crammed up on the neck. I don't want it to be an inch away from the neck. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to be the same with the bridge. I also don't want the pickups to be too close to each other. So no, I don't look for specific placement.
We kind of go with what people have done in the past.
Yeah.
And like on the Challenger, we put the neck pickup. We actually placed the neck pickup so that we could cover up part of the joint.
That's right. That was
with
another
the ring. Mm-hmm. We actually did move that forward.
Yep.
An eighth of an inch or something like that, just to cover up the joint there.
And that's probably in roughly the same place as it is on a Les Paul style guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the bridge, you don't want it to be too close to the bridge because you've got all that hardware that you don't want it to be you don't want the pickup ring to be touching the bridge.
Yeah, and you can there's only
So, like for example, if you are rear routing or if you are relief cutting a Floyd Rose, you have to move the pickup a little further forward than you would if you aren't relief cutting the Floyd. So some of that stuff is, a lot of people say, oh, we put this where the note is, and yeah, some of that stuff is true, but a lot of it is just sort of, yeah, it looks good. Let's put it there. Or it's too close to the thing, we can't put it there. Let's scooch it forward a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you figure out where that, note is, and then you have to scooch it forward because it doesn't look right, well then, fuck it. Why did you waste all that time?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are reasons to do that. I don't know what they are. So one of the cool things about having a custom guitar built, though, is you can spec that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think having the pickups as far apart as possible gets you the most difference in sound, too. Yeah. And the closer you tuck it to the bridge, the more trebly, metallic-y it's going to sound. So, and most people, that's kind of what they want.
Well, the guys in Metallica do that.
Yeah.
Metallic-y.
Yeah. Otherwise, we just put them in the middle and call it a day.
Yep. Yeah, you put one in the middle.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. No. Okay. David Mattson, a.k.a. Cheddar Kung Pao, who, by the way, still did not receive his guitar last night. I was like, damn it! So I'm hoping that it comes today.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce this wood. I think it's Zeracote. Is Zeracote expensive? Because it sure looks and feels good. No, it's not. It's actually not expensive. And I don't think it's on that list of woods that you can't get anymore. There's a lot of really, really neat woods from Mexico and South America that are not expensive and look super cool. One of my favorites is Bacote. Bacote is a little bit more expensive than the Black Poison wood or Catalox or Granadillo, but especially Quarterson Bacote, man, I think that looks badass. So no, it's not. And if you want, when we build your Challenger, Cheddar, we can build the neck out of that if you want.
Sure.
Why not? Or we could just make it out of maple like we normally do. What do you think about hippie wood like that?
Sometimes it's fun. I don't know. I just like the traditional wood, And honestly, one of my favorites is mahogany, and I really like mahogany necks. I like the way they look. I like how easy it is to work with, and
Yeah. I think where cool wood like that really shines is for fretboards, not for tops or necks. That the fretboard, especially if there's no inlay and you can really see the wood, I think that looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like an accent piece, like if you did a 3-piece neck, maple on both sides and a thin strip of that.
That'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Some of those woods are really heavy too, and you don't realize it until until you go to the wood store and start digging through the piles and go, oh man, this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The specific gravity on.
Don't want to use this for a guitar. So.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, we built Cheddar Kung Pao, a Texas Toe Special. Mm-hmm. with a Chechen neck and a Granadillo fretboard. And it turned out great. But yeah, the neck was twice as heavy as a maple neck.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was cool. It didn't have to have a finish on it,
mm-hmm.
but it was neat. It looked really, really cool the way he spec'd it and the way we finally did it. So
yeah.
So is it expensive compared to ebony? No. Compared to poplar, yes. So 6-1. It's. I would say in terms of exotic woods, no, it's not cost prohibitive. It's more money than some stuff, but not too bad. Okay. Last question.
Oh, okay.
Last question.
I don't feel like I've held my end up on this thing.
Well, I think the more we do,
maybe there'll be other questions that are more in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Okay. From Lloyd. Pitonet. I sound like a high school gym teacher when I pronounce people's last names.
This one's from Balake.
Yeah.
Blake.
Lloyd asks a couple of questions. PSI needed for various types of wood glue. The myth versus you versus the manufacturer. I think what he means is clamping pressure per square inch.
Okay.
For wood glue. The rule of thumb is that you don't need a lot, provided the joint is good. If you get a nice clean joint, squeeze it together and let the glue set up. Get it tight, but I actually looked it up.
Did you?
What the people at Tight Bond say. Yeah. And they said anywhere up to like 150 psi for softwoods and up to 250 psi for hardwoods. So like alder would be a softwood, pine would be a softwood, poplar would be a softwood, maple would be a hardwood. Mm. They're all hardwoods, but in terms of actual, hardness of the lumber, not how it's sold. So, like a pipe clamp can do or like a C clamp can go like 2,000 psi. It's like an unbelievable amount of pressure.
So we're probably over clamping stuff.
You can, yeah. It is very easy to do.
Yeah.
So you don't need to use a ton of pressure, like in a C clamp. But you do got to get it as long as you get squeeze out all the way around. As long as you got a nice joint, clamp it, Jed. You're good to go. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, yeah. The most important thing is not PSI. It's having a good joint.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched a Gibson video and I watched them clamp necks in and was frankly kind of surprised at how little clamp they use.
Yeah.
They have this like pneumatic
thing
and it's one clamp and that's that.
Yeah.
And Gibsons aren't known for the necks falling out. They're known for a lot of stuff.
I had repaired back in the old days. And I don't want to be that guy who goes, I've been doing this for... But back in the old days, a guy brought in a 335, but the neck just came out.
Yeah.
And it was a 70s one, and this was in the 80s. And the neck just came out one day.
Yeah.
And I looked in there, and there was no glue. I'm like, I don't know what was holding this in here for, over a decade.
As long as it was, huh?
Yeah. And so I glued it back in. There you go. So while they may not be known for it, I have seen it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah. So, and a little clamping goes a long way. I've learned that over time.
That's true too. If you decide I don't need to clamp it, you probably should.
Yeah. When in doubt, clamp it.
Yep.
And yeah.
We don't clamp tops to bodies anymore. We actually screw them down.
Mm-hmm.
That works great.
Yeah.
Lloyd has another question, and this is where you are really going to shine.
Okay. Oh, and it doesn't take 2 weeks for glue to dry.
No, that's right.
And clamps.
That's right.
There is such a thing as, Stockholm syndrome with wood.
Yes,
where
you don't want that.
Starts to.
Yeah. Okay, so this one I'm going to let you go with this.
Okay.
I'll let you run with this. Also from Lloyd, on a deep dive into what polyester paint is the question. And the pros and cons to nitrocellulose, ? Parentheses, P.S. Nitro being the be-all, end-all is grandpa's best advice, end parentheses. Man, you could go on for days with this. So, there you go. Go.
What was the first part? We were talking about polyester.
Polyester paint.
So we use polyester as a sealer coat.
Yeah.
That's what the Simtech is, and we use it on the advice of a guy that knows more about painting than we do, Mike Learn.
Yep.
And he said, you guys should use this. And so we got a quart of it and we tried it and we loved it. And
now we buy it by the 55-gallon drum if we can.
With a hand pump.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we buy it by the gallon now, actually 2 gallons at a time. Yeah. And it sprays on easy. It sands super easy. That's my favorite part of it. It doesn't clog up the paper.
Yeah.
And at least for us, you can put anything you want to put over the top. When we first started using it, we were still spraying lacquer.
That's right.
And you can top coat it with lacquer, and it works pretty well.
The problem, the worst part about that whole setup is that now you got lacquer on the guitar, which is very fragile.
Yeah.
So you've got something that's really rugged underneath, and something that's very fragile on top.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
a super thin coat.
Yeah.
Of stuff. And what was the other part about nitro?
Yeah. You know, we've done some deep dive videos into that, and we're going to do more deep dive videos into that. I don't think this is really the time or place to settle once and for all the nitro question.
Yeah,
but this does remind me, though, somebody asked me a question on a YouTube video. Can you use Simtex sealer as the finish?
Yes.
So, yes with an if, no with a but, is what I told them, I think. So, yes, you can if you want to get that satiny finish on the back of a neck. In fact, we've done a lot of necks with just Simtex sealer as the finish for the back of the neck. Now, people will say it's not strong enough to do that. You need to put a top coat on that. What we're using it for is in place of an oil finish. And that's really where a Simtex finish neck shines. I wouldn't use Simtex finish as my guitar finish, I don't think.
No, if you're going to spend that kind of time, just put a top coat on it and make it look, because it's not very shiny.
No, even when it's the
kind
most
of shiny. Yeah, even when it's as shiny as it ever gets, it's not very shiny.
Yep. So yes, you can. It works great for necks. I wouldn't recommend it for bodies, but you know what? Your mileage may vary. Go for it if that's what you want.
There's been projects where we've sealed it up and we're like, man, that looks really good. We could almost just leave it there. We don't, but we almost could. They look, they're really close. But
the Simtex sealer is way stronger than lacquer sanding sealer.
Yeah, or vinyl. What do they call the vinyl sealer?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that stuff is.
I think it's soap and lacquer.
I think so too. Yeah, and I think if you put it on too heavy, you can have problems later on, especially with gold top Les Pauls.
Yep. So that should wrap us up for our first question and answer period. This is something that I would like to do at least once a month, provided we get enough support and questions from you guys. So if you have questions for our next video, and maybe we'll even do it more than once a month. If you have any questions for our next video, please leave them in the comment section below. I will try to not answer them, and I'll try to save them for this sort of format. So if I don't answer those questions and I just acknowledge that you sent them in, know that I will be making a video and answer your questions. And remember, we always try to give top billing to our Patreon supporters. If you like content like this, you might want to go and check out our Patreon page and consider becoming a member. For as little as $1 a month, well, for one thing, you get top billing on these question and answer deals, but there's lots of other things that you get too. So check us out on Patreon. If you can't do it, we totally understand that. But feel free to share this video as many places as you want, and that is actually sometimes even more helpful than $1. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb, and it's probably more helpful than $1. So, you got anything else to add? You want to try your new catchphrase out?
No, it's that one's not gonna take. So
okay, everybody, this is Matt and Chris at Texas Toast, reminding you that if you're so smart, build it yourself. That's what I do. You sure? Thanks for watching, everybody.